တော်လှန်ပြည်သူအားလုံးကိုကျမတို့ပြည်သူပန်းတိုင်အသွေးခေါ်လမ်းအစီအစဉ်ကနေတခါပြန်
We'd like to extend our greetings to all the people of the revolution from the People Goals Talk Show team. For today's topic will be that we, as a title we're given is supporting along with that those who have been arbitrarily given capital punishment and that oppress political prisoners of the military tribunals. This is an issue that many of the people are facing. Until there are political prisoners in Myanmar, there will not be a genuine reconciliation. Until the revolutionary fighters and their families will not be able to stand together, this revolution cannot move forward as well. And that when people are being released from the prison into house arrest doesn't mean freedom for them. That until there is no justice, accountability, and the responsibility, Myanmar will not enjoy genuine peace or positive peace. In Myanmar, that since the 1st of February 2021, where the military has conducted a legitimated coup d'etat, since then, it has been over 670 days of revolution. During the time, the military, the SAC has arrested over 13,000 people, including youth and students. Over 100 people have been sentenced with capital punishment, and 4 of their political enemies has been arbitrarily executed. And these are the events that we have witnessed in the past. On the other hand, we are also that there has always been political prisoners, different periods of time in Myanmar. Along the history, the people have made a lot of sacrifices for their political activism, and that with the way the military has been oppressively, arbitrarily detaining and holding people in the prison, the situation of that political prisoners inside the prison, their challenges, their courage, and their strength and resilience is something we'll be talking about on today's 47th session of the People's Talk Show. So I will be introducing you with the speakers shortly. First person I would like to introduce is Maimu from Generation Wave. Hello, Maimu. Good morning. Good evening once again. And the next speaker is Pwint from Burma Campaign UK. Good evening to you. Good evening. And we have, last but not the least, so we have that Maung from the Students' Union of Dagon University. Hello, Maung. Hello. So in tonight's discussion, that my name is Htoi, and that I'll be moderating. I'm moderating that today's talk show. I'm from Kachin State Civilian Movement as well. And that, as usual, as we have announced on the Facebook, this talk show is live streamed, and we have also provided you with a live webinar link so that you can join in and give your comments and listen to the speakers on the Zoom setting. But you can also feel free to use not only the Zoom chat, but also for the Facebook Live pages to give comments, raise your questions, and then contribute to the discussion as well. At the end of the session, we'll also set some time for that so that the audience can also join in the discussion and ask questions to our speakers as well. That before we go into the discussion, we'd like to show you a short animated movie documenting the information about the political prisoners that from AAPP. Please watch it.
PDF ဆိုတာမင်းလားကွာ
ဒီပါပြည်သူများရှင်အခုကျမတို့ဒါမြင်တွေ့ရတဲ့
that the animation, that documentary that we have just watched describes and illustrates the life and the situation of the political prisoners inside the prison, how human rights violations and that the way the prisoners are not treated with dignity, to what extent they have been oppressed and they have been persecuted, they have been treated as lesser human beings, that not as not as a human being, and it is something APP has shown us to shed a light on the life inside the prison. For people to be treated with dignity, to be treated as a human being, it is that we are all sacrificing the dignity and that about the humanity for the political causes, and it is important to stand by those those who have the courage to be able to stand for their political beliefs in the prison, and only then, when we stand by together for truth and for for humanity and dignity, that will be able to achieve that forever sustainable peace. Now, I would like to give each speakers about 5 minutes to talk about what their current activities are, and also to introduce on the actions, the activities that they have been doing. So I would like to take 3 to 4 minutes each, and that would like to first invite Maimu. My name is Imu. My organization is called Generation Wave. I'm General Secretary of the Generation Wave organization. And since the 2007 Saffron Revolution, that I have been resisting against the military dictatorship, and that I have been a political advocate then. And that so I've worked on the justice, human rights, as well as on the women rights, along with the political advocacy. And so when the coup happened, that we have stood by the people and demonstrated peacefully to resist against the military junta. In March 2021, I was arrested. Now I'm still contribute to the revolution with whatever I can as to support. Thank you. Thank you, sister, for introducing yourself. Next, I would like to invite Whitney Pwint. Thank you. My name is Whitney Pwint. Right now, that I'm working on that for the issues of the human rights violations happening in Myanmar and the suffering of the Myanmar people, and that about the political prisoner. I'm doing a campaign on how can the international community help us. Right, I'm doing advocacy work to rally the international community as well. At the same time, I'm also working on. I'm still working on mobilizing and calling for actions and accountability against the systematic violations, the violence the military has committed against the people of Myanmar for years. That's what I'm working on right now. Thank you. May I next invite Maung? Can you introduce yourself and describe your current activities? My name is Maung. I'm a member of the Dagon University Student Union. I'm also one of the leaders working on the urban strikes in different parts as well. And then before the revolution, I was not in the politics. Only after the military coup that I started to get interested in the politics, I became involved as well. And that right now I'm contributing to the revolution by organizing guerrilla strikes, peaceful nonviolent strikes across across the urban areas. Thank you to our speakers. To start our discussion, I would like to first invite Whitney Pwint. That you come from a prominent family, that you are the daughter of a political prisoner, that your father is someone we all respect and admire, and you also asked doing research about the political prisoner as well, and that you have personal experience as well as on that you are also doing research, that you also have that that pass the difficulties as a member of that family of a political prisoner, and that your father was released just recently, until he was released, and you have gone through this. You have gone through the challenges as a member of the political prisoner. So how do you understand political prisoner or the prisoner of conscience? Is there a clear definition? And is there a clear definition about political prisoners or prisoner of conscience? And that and if we were to discuss and were to look at the history of the political prisoners or prisoner of conscience in Myanmar, what would that be? Well, in Myanmar, we call it short as a political prisoner. That I would like to start from there. But is there a clear definition there is no clear definition that in different countries, and also that the way that based on the country context, the definition is defined differently. Even under the civilian government in Myanmar, who are the political prisoners? How do we define them? There has even been some discussions and discussion on it, but we do not really agree on that. Let's say that okay, when we say political prisoners, there are two main categories. One is what we call those who were sentenced to prison, who were detained for their political ideologies they believe in. They are internationally they are called as prisoner of conscience. Second is a more general term of a political prisoner. Political prisoner can be broader. That it can have a broader categories of people as well. Right now, when you say that for those people who be sentenced for the political ideology, they are they are what we call the prisoner of conscience. When we say the prisoner of conscience, that's the definition, the meaning is limited as well. Like for example, there are many youth who are they may not be included because they are from the PDF because it's because of their ideology or the cause that you live in. For those who do not rely on the violence or who do not take up the arms to fight for what they believe in non-violently, that's what we call for prisoner of conscience. And that for example, like international organizations like NLC International will use the word prisoner conscience. Like in the past, like there are cases that have been charged with the Section 70.1, or which is for the LFO Association or LFO organization. And then some of those people will never be described as a political prisoner. But Dawn San Suu Kyi herself, why she want to use the term prisoner of conscience than political prisoner. And that that terminology is very strict, so not everyone will be included. And what also is become a challenge is that if you look at this, if you look at the sessions like the 71, they have been arbitrarily detained by the military. Often they are tortured. They'll be tortured, beaten until they sign a confession, and then they will be sentenced. And these are the people arbitrarily detained at rest. But when they have been charged with the Section 71, then they may not end up as a prisoner of conscience or political prisoners. So when you say political prisoners, then often the countries like UK, US, and Germany, they use this terminology. And in addition, and that when we look at the case of Myanmar, the prisoners, this political prisoner, that is the term more suitable because some of their PDF, they have been arbitrarily detained and they are being tortured until they give a written and then they give a confession. And that in Myanmar, there's the judicial system. We don't have a good judicial system. There is no rule of law. So that all of us can be considered and broadly under the umbrella of political prisoners, and that's why UK government as well as US government use this term to describe the people who have been arbitrarily detained, arrested, and then imprisoned. It's a broader thematic area. And then there are also some controversy in using that term, like but the Rohingya people, the Rohingya people be considered as political prisoners, that there are laws inside Myanmar that if you look at domestic legal framework, I mean, very discriminatory, which do not give them access to education, they do not have the freedom of movement, and that they got easily arrested, they got easily straight and then they will be punished under discriminatory laws and the immigration laws, and that including children will be arrested today and you were in prison as well. That can the Rohingya people be considered as political prisoner? It is a controversial issue that is still being debated by and large. That if we look at the historical background, in my opinion, the political prisoner is that right now what is happening in Myanmar is the wars in terms of political prisoners. That we have seen for the first time the military using capital punishment to execute illegally political activists. And now the military is using capital punishment to execute and to kill youth and activists in Myanmar. And that is the first time it has happened in the past 30 years. And when the military cannot arrest the people they're targeting, the political leaders or activists, then they will arrest the family, they will arrest children. That sometimes they will send the bodies back. And these are the cases we have seen escalating dramatically in the past 2 years. when I talk with them, my family members of the political prisoners, and often say that the family members will say that they feel safer that their members are in the prison because they know that if they go through the interrogation center or detention center, they could be killed at any time. And once that their family member is in prison, once they've been charged with a certain, any kind of a criminal charges, they feel secure, that they feel safe, that their family members is now inside the prison. And that is something that is extraordinarily shocking that nobody has to go through. That what we are seeing is that people of Myanmar are facing even more oppression that they are facing, and that the people inside the prison are being treated like animals. They're not treated with humanity or human dignity. And most people will not talk about political prisoner for two reasons. Firstly, the family, because they're concerned about the challenge of their family members. One, a family member is inside the prison, the family member will have to struggle to raise money to give them some food or items. And it's been 2 years they haven't been able to meet their family members who are in prison. There's many families like this inside Myanmar, and then the family members also they have to be worried about it as well, and that sometimes also is that they are also facing having challenges that the family they often, we don't talk about political prisoners. Oh, they have their family, the family will support them. We don't speak about, they need the support, they need assistance as well. And and then when people also think that when a political prisoner is released from prison, they think they are free. No, their challenges start again. Their challenges start once they are released as well. Now we are seeing doctors and nurses and the students, university students, they are inside the prison. Once they're released, they cannot go back to work, they cannot go back to school, and that they do not have the opportunity to continue their study as well. For doctors, for example, they are professionals, and their medical license will be withdrawn, and sometimes they can also be challenged. So they have to quite difficult to be able to find jobs, or continue their studies as well. And then that another issue is the trauma. When they have lived through their horrible experiences and torture, interrogation, the trauma they have in they need to resettle, they need to recover, they need to rebuild their lives. We have an organization like AAPP who are helping them, but there is more work needed to be done. And that even under the civilian government, we need to apologize that political prisoners who were and who were that and justifiably be detained, arrested. It is also important to help them to be able to resettle and also to regain their normal life. There has been a lot of that in Myanmar. So long as there are political prisoners, there we wouldn't have democracy, genuine democracy, or the sustainable peace. And once political prisoners are released, it is also important to provide them support, that consistent support, so that they can rehabilitate as well. That's all I like to say in the first part. Thank you. Thank you, Sema for sharing some of the findings from the research, as well as on the challenges that the family members of the political prisoner face, and also you also talk about also the challenges that the current political prisoners are facing, and the challenges that they will face when they are also released from the prison. Thank you indeed for sharing. And that now I would like to give a chance to Siama Iimu. Siama Iimu, you were arrested in March of 2021. You were arrested, and that now that you have been released, and that you are also you have been working especially for the women political prisoners, and that you are also trying to that you are also doing advocacy to protect the rights of the women political prisoners as well. After the coup, the way the military has been arbitrarily and awfully arresting and detaining the people, and that they have been filing charges against them. What is the situation right now? What were your experience being inside the prison under the military arrest? Thank you for your question, and especially for me to be able to amplify and give you the to carry the voice of those political prisoners who are still inside the prison. I think it is just give me some sort of relief as well. First, I would like to talk about the cases in court. that we were those who were arrested in earlier times, and that what happened was that when that is starting, we were only doing we were just peacefully demonstrating, and that while we were still defending as well. At that time, the armed resistance has not started yet. We only have like a mask, and we also have like a cold drinks to fight against as well. And that we are arrested and we're also charged. We have been detained inside women detained prison, and that they were accused us of trumpet churches that we are trying to burn down the police station, and that they were also accused us of we are trying to beat the police, and we are trying to do a physical assault against the members of the security forces. Okay, and when it is started, then what we also see is that we are also they are also after us, and they would make a felony charges like attempted murder or murder in the first, or they would be putting like a serious crimes like the weapons, the use of weapons as well. And that what we are seeing is that inside the prison they have this special tribunal, especially for those who are arrested, the political prisoners who have been detained after the coup. They set up a court inside the prison, and you have the police, you have the soldiers, you have the warden, and then you also have a DA, you have the prosecutors, you have a judge. There are no one outside there with them. Then you also have the military tribunal. What's the difference between this special tribunal and the military tribunal? Is that in the special tribunal, in this also called a special court, you can get a lawyer, but in that and then if you are being in charge in the military tribunal, then you don't get a lawyer. You will be sentenced immediately. And in terms of criminal cases, once who are arrested at they would arrest those peaceful protesters. They will also arrest them for sending information to the democratic forces. And then this person will go to trial, that will be arraigned at the special court. Those who were sent to the military court will be people from the areas under the martial law. The youth, especially, who will be charged with for bearing weapons, because nobody is allowed to have weapons in Myanmar. So what happened is that these people do not have the right to defend themselves, and more than that, they will face threats. As they said, you need to confess. You need to confess. If you confess, we'll give you the minimum punishment. If you don't confess, will be given the maximum punishment. For example, like the prison, the sentence for the criminal charges they're facing, the minimum sentence can be 3 years, maximum sentence can be 7 years, and they will push people during the arraignment to confess and to take their plea deal or take the minimum punishment. It doesn't matter how our lawyers are helping. Our lawyers are helping in the special court. It doesn't matter, how we try to be. It doesn't matter how hard we tried. That in the end, what happened is that the judges will sentence us, and that it will be then the sentences will be made not in merit, not in because of the court, because of the finding of the case, but simply because the punishment according to what the military said. What is good is that how they will, once you are in prison, then you get this prison visits from your families. At least you get to do that. So if you are in a court, and then you will be taken to court every day. If you are they also don't like them, the warden or the staff will know that the more political prisoners are, we have to be taken to court every day. So they don't like it. What they will do is, because they don't want us to take it for the arraignment, they will put us more charges. Like if you are a political prisoner, you're already be arrested for one case, they will find other cases just to put more cases, so that you will never be able to get away from the prison. So that they will often that if you have other charges, other criminal charges, then you are not allowed to go out. You're not allowed to go to the court either. So what they will do, they will only take you there if you're the day of your sentence, and then the case will be the case will be sentenced. That's only when you're going to see. Later in the days, what the situation is worse is that now they are sentencing capital punishment. They are giving death sentences, and not only the death sentences, they are also carrying out the execution of those who have been given the death penalty as well. In the prison, all these people are also being facing different forms of that oppression as well. Once we arrived at prison, they said that listen to what we say, follow our orders, and that remain, and that if you don't know, if you're not be good, if you are not good, then you'll be punished. And that's what they say. We are fighting for the injustice. We are that we are unjustly arrested. And then again, we are saying that we have to face injustice on a daily basis in every single moment in the prison. So we are for the revolution as revolutionary. The fact that because of that, what we are trying to resist in this revolution, that we are being injustice. We don't know when we'll be taken by the water. Whenever the soul stores are opening, we have to be worried that we'll be taken away. And they said we're going to interrogate you, and these people will be taken. Sometimes these people will even taken out of the prison. We don't know where these people will be taken. They will never come back. And they will have some personal items. Their personal items will be taken by the warden, and that some of the people will be end up in solitary confinement. We have no way of saying for our defense. We have no way to defend ourselves. So they will do whatever they want. They will take you whatever they want to. You're probably missing again. They would change people from one building to another. Then some of the political prisoners working in kept in solitary confinement, and they won't be able to receive the families or the food supported by the family as well. In addition to that, there is also sexual harassment as well. Once you get arrested, when you are in the interrogation center, and that in the interrogation, as I know, there are no women there. Those who are doing interrogation, and when you are inside the prison, we are facing many forms of oppression, and out of these oppression, the violence, injustice we are facing, sexual harassment is one of the worst. That you are being beaten, you are being tortured, you are being harassed sexually in the interrogation against you. There will always be both verbal and physical assault and abuse against women. And when women are beaten, and that they would beat women in the for the sexual sexual they will beat women in the reproductive organs, and there will be violence targeted women in the interrogation center alone. We're seeing that men in the interrogation center, sometimes they will even they will flash them. They will flash them and say that the women will be asked to they get on all fours, and they will beat the women in the buttocks with they would take photos of the women as well, and then the photos of these women being interrogated, and they would instead of not they will look at the photo, they will say whether they will show this photo to the outsider to say, these are the women, how we did this to them. They will verbally abuse them. That's the horrible things we have to go to interrogation center. And then once you're inside the prison, you're also facing challenges on a daily basis. So for whatever reason, when you are being taken out of your cells, or to get a remand, or to go to the prison clinic, or to go to the arraignment, and whenever we go, we have to go through different checkpoints. At every checkpoint, they will check you. They will do a physical check. They will touch the breast. They would touch the vagina, and they would even put their hands. They would do they call it the cavity search, and they will search. They will put their hands, the fingers inside the cell. They will do that. They say that they are concerned about the communicating for what is happening inside the prison outside, but they would do such intrusive check as when a woman is in her period and she has to wear a hygiene product. They don't trust that. They say you have to show the hygiene product to say as it really if you're really having a period. So this is very intrusive. These are the challenges that we face in the day, every day, for any reason. When you're going out, that you're being physically handled, physically being touched. And if sometimes that women wardens, that women officers, they will also be saying things that were very related. Oh, you have big breasts, or your breasts are too small. Or they will be saying things to harass you as well. So sometimes they are also trying to, in a way, to sexually harass you while doing these searches as well. In short, I would like to say that yes, that now they are charging the political prisoners with the felony charges, and they are sentencing death sentences. They want to make use the law. They want to use a legal framework to kill and execute a political prisoner. The situation inside the prison on a daily basis is hard. It's hard because it's that we have to live with safety and such a blatant lack of safety and security, psychologically, sexually, or physically. You never feel safe being inside the prison at all. And there is also no medical care that political prisoners do not have access to medical And I was in prison, and when Myanmar gone through the third wave of COVID-19, and necessarily that some of the fellow the cellmates had lost their life unnecessarily because we don't have any protection. And when a prisoner died, and that the family wants to recuperate the body for funeral, you have to give money, you have to bribe the prison officials to be able to recover the body. That lately, for either women or men, or that are those who have been arrested, those who are detained in prison, they give that they call it the prison punishment. They would also, in a way, they made it on purpose. We can make you in more trouble, even more trouble than you are. That now you still can, your family can still visit you, even if they cannot see you in person. They can still send you that is like care packages, and that we can make you even more trouble, that you won't be able to receive their care packages from your family will out of Burma. What they can do is they will send us to the prisons no longer that are far away as well, and that even the prison transfer information will not be shared with their families, so the family no longer know if you're still alive or not. That's how horrible that is.
最近ဒါမျိုးသမီးတွေဒါကြုံတွေ့ခဲ့နေတဲ့
Thank you very much for sharing the experience of a female prisoner, and it's very disappointing to listen to. And according to the statistics, based on the 16-day activism period, this is the activism happening nationally. So in this duration, we got all statistics, figures, and data for the female prisoners in Myanmar. So knowing that physical difficulties, mental trauma are there for women prisoners. Just because of a woman, being a woman, the women prisoners are facing much more difficulties due to their physical structure and due to their differences in terms of their sexual organs. So now we heard the unproportional difficulties for the women prisoner facing in the prisons, and we have many women political prisoners, and we have many women facing the violences in these societies as well. And to have the society that respect the equality, the the spirit of a human, it's something that society really need to work on. And I also would like to raise a particular question to Maung Sa. Last week, 7 students were sentenced to death penalty. They did not have right to defend themselves. And in order to build the democratic nation, they are sacrificing their life. So I just would like to understand that what motivates such kind of students to endure this sort of atrocities. Thank you. As you all know that the military dictatorships are building their own powers and holding their position with any cost that they are paying. And if you looked at the history, the mentality of the dictatorship is just to hold their power, nothing else. So we want to challenge dictatorship. The student union always challenge the values and principle of the dictatorship. So that's why the students union and the students in general are always oppressed. And the dictatorship always says that we can do whatever to you, students. So I think this is a clear message for us that we have to strike for no one above the law. But they are doing the rule by law, and they use law, they use legal framework for their own benefit. So the youth, the students, has no protection for their life in this setting. So whenever we talk about student unions are being oppressed, are being exploited, and are being discriminated. And whenever they say that they value the rule of law, I think it's a joke, the lie. So why we participate in the revolution? We want to uproot the oppressed regime. We want to uproot the military dictatorship, and we want to seek the justice. So that's why we revolt them. Thank you. And I also
မိခွန်းတွေကိုပဲတစ်ဆက်သေးကျွန်မမေးသွားပါမယ်
would like to raise another set of questions. The military dictatorship recently released 400 political prisoners out of over 10,000 political prisoners, and it was coincide with the ASEAN meeting. And last week, 12 youth giving death penalties within that one day.
ထွက်လာတယ်ဆိုတာကြည်ကြည်လောင်လောင်ပဲကျွန်မတို့သိရ
Said that they will actually execute their lives. I would like to know the opinions of all the three panelists. In Pwint, though, I would like to invite you. What is your reading? Since you
advocacy
work with international organization with regards to the advocacy for the political prisoners, and what would pressure? How would you pressure the state administration council, the military,
ဒီဖိအားတွေကြောင့်ပဲဒီ
to take their accountability and responsibility? Do you think that this sort of death penalty is due to the fact that they are being pressured? Or what is the motives behind the release of some political prisoner by the military council? Thank you. And I just would like to talk about the pressure perspective. The motives of releasing the political prisoner is something that I would like to talk about. Whenever we meet with the international government and international organization, we always mention that they have the leverage to pressure the state administration council. But whenever they talk with the military government, the international community seems not pressuring much regarding the political prisoner in general. And of course, they will claim that they always ask for releasing Dawn San Suu Kyi and political prisoner. But we need to talk more about the political prisoner affairs. To have more campaign to pressure the military council. I think that the purpose of releasing the political prisoner in Myanmar is just for the publicity stunt. There will be some sort of important days coming up. They may do some sort of releasing prisoners, and they may also release some celebrities. In U Thein Sein government time, it was back in 2010, 2012. There were high-profile political prisoners. The generations of students and our students were released back then. At the same time, what they would do is that they would still arrest the activists and political prisoner without knowing the public. So I think this kind of pattern continued whenever we talked about the political prisoner. It is kind of a revolving doors. They release some, at the same time they arrest some, and they continue arresting them. So I think this kind of dynamic is ongoing all the time. It's like this revolving door. So there was this national day. They need to make sure that there were some empty cells, so they released some of the political prisoner, which should have been welcome. But then again, we need to realize that these released political prisoner had nothing to do with the prison for the first place. I think we need to realize that it is not something special that they release the political prisoners. Then again, we still have the 13,000 prisoners, political prisoners in the prison, and this number is not reduced. So whenever we talked about political prisoner pressure, the international community need to have much more effective and efficient pressure on the military regime. That is what we are doing as a campaign, as my advocacy. We are approaching the UK government. We are working together with the UK organizations. We have to work with the European Union member states. So this is going to be my next year agenda, I would say, and the comprehensive pressure is something this military council it's to be treated, and we all know that the people of Myanmar are sacrificing their lives for their freedom, for their liberty, for their country. The international community is just to stand together side by side with the Myanmar people. That's all they have to do. There are five things that we want to ask the international community. Stop money to the military. Stop money flowing the military military regime. So this economic sanction it's to be there, and embargo it's to be there, and the military use the weapon to kill its own people, but then again the weapons are still flowing into the country. The international community does not do much for that. And the third thing is not to recognize the military council. They have no reason whatsoever to be the legitimate government of the country. That is the third point. The fourth is that how to help the internally displaced people with the humanitarian assistance. Whenever there would be the humanitarian assistance through the military council, it will be like people or the international communities are putting money in the pockets of the military. The internally displaced people are there in the country because of the military. So it is very logic to understand that there is no reason to help the internally displaced people through the military at all. And the fifth one is to stop the air fuel for the military. We have to sanction the air fuel. There is a PF movement, there is this local defense movement, and they could not control on the ground. So since their military could not effectively control the ground, they just used air force for air strike. Due to air bombing, air strike, and air assault and air attack, the local people are suffering enormously. So the air fuel must be stopped. So the UK government is thinking in line with that. So basically, we are talking about all of this because we know that international community can really do this assistance. Again, the international community is to help the people just by responding these points that the can do, they have the capacity to do. So we are going to this kind of campaign advocacy. There are a lot of work for us around these 5 points, but we will push in coming days for sure along with this direction. Thank you very much.
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ပါဆိုတော့ဒါအခုဒါဆရာမဝင်နင်းပွင့်တုံပြောသွားတာကတော့ကျမတို့ပြည်သူတွေအနေနဲ့
Thank you. And what we have listened to, Siama Winning Pwint, is something how we people can contribute to take action against the military hunter, and that not to give recognition. And that is important to bring an end to the military through the international campaign, through the international work as well. That now I would like to that so international amnesty also had that also has called on the doing campaign to bring sanction to the military counter as well. And that if you're using social media, feel free to participate in the signature campaign that has been organized by Amnesty International to bring sanctions, to urging sanctions against the military counter as well. So now that I would like to give the floor to Maimo. More prisoners have been given that sentences, and that the military also had arbitrarily executed 4 activists about 3-4 months ago. So that people were shocked, and people were also greatly saddened by these forced execution as well. And now that the university students has been given that sentences, and said, what is the response of the people? How are people responding to it on the social media? Can you share with us what are the responses to the voice of the people on the ground? And says, and also I'd like to ask, what should people do to support, to stand by those as university students and their families? What will be the most effective way to support for the activists? So can you share your opinion and the discussions on that? Thank you for the question. First of all, I would like to say that those who are, and that that when you are in that what we call it, the other people who are inside prison, it doesn't matter if you are a criminal or if you committed a crime, if you are called for prisoner, everybody is looking for to be released as well. People also hope that, okay, my sentence is almost up, I will be released, and people hope to be released. People long for freedom. So that is being part of it. What we also hope for is for the holidays, special holidays like the National Day or the Independence Day, and we hope that because the way the people in Myanmar will go to the pagodas and then you will release the birds or the fish, that in the same way, we hope that when the international leaders are coming to Myanmar, and we know that military will make a show of it because, that's what they have done before in the past. We all know the history. So on the National Day or the Union Day, then the prisoners could be released, and we are all hopeful of that. We all know that it doesn't matter that for any reason some people will be released, some will not. We all know that it is important to end the system, to end this military system, for all of us to be released from the prison as well. And that whenever we say that the other people who remain also remain after asking people to stay safe as well. So whenever you're released, that you also feel the same as well, because you also have the emotions of the other people as well. So that the fact that we're not able to bring all the people is difficult. Whenever we are inside the prison, we'll say, we'll go back together, we'll go home together. That's why we say that we'll not be able to bring these people with us as well. And that sometimes you are also not in a position to stay behind as well. And that what I feel most is that when I was released will be that the pleasure of the freedom, and you don't feel it well as well, that you know how the situation is horrible inside the prison, and when you know how bad it can be, and the fact that the fact that it's not fair, and we feel the guilt as well. And that once you are released, and then what happened also is that they will also arrest you again. I was released on the first day, and I haven't even I was still outside there, going through the different checkpoints of the prison. They are already, the military is already, the intelligence already at my home, has arrived home here, because they will arrest them back again. So you don't really feel safe. You feel guilt, don't really happy, because you're thinking about your comrades. You also don't feel safe because you know that they could arrest you at any time. That's why they release you one day, they arrest you the next day. And then you also, when you're released, you also feel the burden of responsibility. I need to do something to get other people released as well. And then we try to get others released. At the same time, when you are outside, and we call it the prison in the prison in a full in a plein air, we get got it, even if that that is that the fight is not over, this resistance is not over, that we have to get them. And that what we have to be worried about is that that you were sentenced with prison, that that when we know that that is what is happening outside, the way they are killing, the massacres, so that that also to make us to scare about this one, because we are when we see that villages are being burned, people are being killed, and we are in the resistance, we are making the sacrifices, and that we it's like we have there's nothing to hold them back as well. That we whether we get released or not, it is important that we want this revolution. Doesn't matter that is we have to do it, we have to really honor, do it in a way. So it doesn't matter who is free. And then whoever it is, that we will often say that 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 we'll ask them to sell that that you just stay safe, and they try to be safe if you are, and then keep up the fight. So this is what we say, that what we call it, people in the outside, in the el fresco prison, or prison in outside air as well. And that because there are a lot of youth who have been a striker a lot as well. When they are to be arrested, when they are detained, they know that they are being arrested, they'll be sentenced, and once they have been arraigned, and once they have been sentenced to prison, they know that they'll be transferred to another prison. When they are taken out for their arraignment, maybe probably was sentencing, and when they're taken, we know that we have to ask the question, like, how many years this get, because there is no reason that they won't be committed, because that they will say 7 years, and we'll be crying. Because it's always the maximum punishment. We feel bad for the youth as well, but sometimes we are also happy, because when you're able to go to arraignment, so you can eat outside food as well. The people who are there, they want to cry because they are very strong, and they still remain strong to this one. So it is, we have to also do give them words of encouragement. Don't feel bad that we are still is with you. The reason that it doesn't matter when you have an ongoing case, that you'll be stay in one place, but then when you get sentenced, then you can stay in another part of the prison. So that's fine with this as well. And when these people, when they get sentenced like 10 years, or like 7 years, or 20 years, or 3 years, they all get all these sentences. And then we often, what the point we made is, why should we feel bad about that? Why should we feel demotivated? It is important for us to remain strong and remain competent. And then whenever these sentences are happening, when it's become a regular occurrence, we know that when you are get taken to the prison, you get mature, you get used to it, you get sort of like get used to it. So, and that the problem we know is that once you have been sentenced, when you are in prison, there will be harder, it will be harder for you to communicate with your family. So it will be harder to get care packages, and that we have to prepare for them. We have to set aside care packages when the people go to arraignment. We'll encourage each other. We'll say that, okay, that we'll try to say goodbye to whatever we can to when they have to be moved to another building for that imprisoned for imprisonment. So we feel that why should we feel discouraged? We also have cases of people who are arrested for not for activism. We have seen young people who have been arrested because they are not able to find their brothers or the fathers or that. But remember, there are also elderly people who are also arrested. That's why when some people kind of feel that, well, I don't want to be released, I want other people to be released, I want people who are able to do more than me to get released as well. So looking back, that sentence is shows that how the judicial system has corrupted, because they use the sentences to make people scared, to make people to be not to join the revolution. That that sentence is used as a psychological tactic to make people oppressed. We have to continue the revolution inside the prison. That even people outside the prison for demonstration and protest, we are being oppressed. It's worse inside the prison. The wardens, the prison system, they would make allegations, and they would beat the prisoners, they would torture the prisoner, they would do whatever they want. So it is important for us to remain strong and resilient, to be able to continue walking on the course. There are many political prisoners like that in Myanmar. They are also facing very hardships and challenges. It's important to stand by the people. So it doesn't matter if you are inside the four walls of the prison also, or if you're outside in the area, but yet still facing oppression like in El Fresco prison. It is important to remain committed to the cause, and then we have won the revolution. Thank you for sharing your experiences inside the prison, as well as on the role that people can play to support the prisoners' conscience. Now, I would like to take the turn to invite Maung. So military has conducted the coup, and they've been in power for nearly 2 years. They are facing that very strong resistance, not only inside the country, from the international community as well, and that when they're facing the highest forms of international pressure, they release some political prisoners as well. On the other hand, they are, giving more death sentences. They are also arresting people, killing people, as well as many villages across the country. When you see this, that the way they release some prisoners on one hand, on the other hand, they are, escalating their attacks, and your attacks in such violence. What will be your message to the people of Myanmar as students, and how should people continue? Because the fact that that there have been many who have made the ultimate sacrifices, and who's lost their lives and livelihoods, and we know that in a way, some people also feel the situation had normalized to an extent. So how should the people continue? How should the people behave in such contexts? So that military and the military junta led by Maung, and that in response to the international pressure, they have released symbolic prisoners as way to reduce the pressure that they are facing as well. And that, like others have shared before, that only a few political prisoners released, not all of them are political prisoners as well. And that even if so I think it is important for people to understand that as well, that military is not good. The fact that they are released doesn't mean that they have turned a new leaf, because some of the people who have been released, they were arrested on their way back home as well. Though there is no freedom, there is also that there are also justified killings as well as for disagreement as well. There's some of the seven university students have been sentenced, given that sentence. They are also part of the students movement as well. We'll say that the military is continuing as they always are. They don't care about their survival or their livelihood or their lives of the individuals. They have executed political leaders like Ujami and that Kopio, and now they have sentenced for more university students. And that we know that while we are trying to eradicate the military detention system, we know that we could be killed, we could end up in prison, we could end up with a death sentence. But we are fighting for democracy, we're fighting for social justice, we are fighting for the freedom of our community. But what I want to say, the way the military has acted, the way they have, dole out the death sentences, they are violating the human rights international as well. And that also showed that on the one hand, they may release, but they are also sentencing, capital punishment to the people. That means that they don't care about the international community. They don't care about the international pressure. As maybe they're just using this release as a possible distraction as well. The military like to distract the people. They would, because people, it is important. That's why it is important that people to be prudent. It is important to people to observe what they're doing. We cannot live in the past. We cannot just live in the past. It is important to live in the present and look to the future. And so we cannot be angry about what happened in the past and sad about what has happened to us. It is important to continue resisting strongly with the commitment for the revolution. Thank you, Maung, for answering this question very clearly, and very briefly to that as well. That now that we have invited, now that we have asked questions to our speaker, we have already asked questions to as well. But that I also like to, we also want to give time to our participants to ask questions as well. So if you are attending us in the Zoom webinar, if you want to ask questions, please raise your hand so we can give you the floor. If you're watching us on the live stream, you can use the Facebook pages where this has been streamed on to ask questions. I have received 2 questions. My first question is for Hnin, and the second question is to any of the speakers. So I will first give these 2 questions. So I would like to first I would like first to turn to Hnin to share a question. The question is not very long, and that the both questions sound quite different. So if you are possible, can you respond to both questions at the same time? So my question is to Hnin as a daughter of a political prisoner. So your father, as a political prisoner, has spent a lot of time inside the prison. And when you don't have a father or to lead their family, how did you survive as a then your life as without your father? What will be your words of encouragement to other fellow members of the prison, members of family members of the prison of the political prisoners? Thank you for the question. Firstly, I would like to say that as a family member of the political prisoner, I think the ideology has changed. I think it's nothing to be ashamed of. That's what I want, the point I would like to make. Because when I was young, when I go to school, the way I have grown up, I was in the 1990s, late 1990s. My father was inside the prison. The fact that my father is a political prisoner, he's in prison, I cannot speak up openly because we were under the military regime. So I was confused as to like, should I be embarrassed or should I be ashamed or would there be a risk? And then sometimes when you explain that your father is a political prisoner, you also think about the social pressure that you might be ostracized. They might look you down. There could be a stigma. So there is nothing to be ashamed of to be a member of the political prisoner. That the fact that you have a family member who remained committed to the cause and fighting for the good of the country is something we need to be proud of. Okay, how did I pass my life as a day? This time, I think this is something I have been speaking to others. We are lucky because my father was arrested on the very first day of the coup of that time, and that he was not tortured, he was not interrogated. We're lucky, and this is the third time that we are passing through this, that we have already had experience for the last 2 times. Even then, it's difficult because we have to encourage our mother. What we want this time, the military is doing whatever they want. So it is in there were some, of course, challenges. We have to keep my mother motivated. Then sometimes whenever there are rumors, don't believe in the rumors without validating the information. So these are the challenges we have gone through. What I always say that is that we are lucky. We are lucky because now my father has been released. That we were also lucky before, and my father has been released. It's a good news for our family. And like Maimu has shared, yes, it is good news, but I also feel bad that there are many other youth who have been arrested and a lot of other revolutionaries who are in the prison. So we still have a long struggle ahead of us. So we need to remain focused on the release of all political prisoners and also for the future of the country. So how will I encourage other people that sometimes and it's I often talk to the families of political prisoners. And if you have time or if you are doing this, and that so it is important to talk to them. It's important to encourage them. Also, that is sometimes it is important to talk to them to explain that it is not you alone. It is something all the family members of the political prisoners gone through. So it is important to talk to your friends, and also I want to encourage the family members of political prisoners to reach out to me as well. That I would like to reiterate that it is nothing to be ashamed or nothing to be embarrassed about. It is important to talk to people. Our family members are fighting for the country, so it is important to be proud of it and be proud of who you are. Be proud of your family members. That's what I like to say. That to reach out to others, talk to them.
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ဆရာမကျေးဇူးပါကိုလိုမျိုးတာအားပေးစကားနဲ့အတူပေါ့နော်ဟိုမီးရဲ့မီးကို
Thank you very much for your encouragement. And now There are two questions in the Q&A box. I have the impression that Siamongsa is to leave earlier, so I just would like to raise a particular question to him first, rather than EE. I got a remark and a particular question to Maungsa. And actually, the question is to ask your word of encouragement for students and the parents of the students. Again, Maungsa, the floor is yours. Thank you very much for giving me this time, and I am very thankful for being here. We have this death sentence, we have this atrocity, we have this injustice, we have this torture, we have this very difficult treatment in the detention center. We have all this crime, we have all this economic hardship, and we have all the difficulties that everyone is facing. Well, there's only one reason for that, for these. The reason is there is this dictatorship. The dictatorship is to be uprooted, and the dictatorship has to be gone. There is no shortcut to have the dictatorship gone, and there is no short-term solution for the dictatorship not to be there. Well, when it comes to the release of the political prisoner, it is not the solution. It is not the genuine solution. Even if the state councillor Aung San Suu Kyi is released, then it is not solution at all. And when it comes to the death sentence, not to have the death sentence is not the solution at all. The solution we are looking for it to abolish the dictatorship. This is our destination. So for the public, please continue in the revolution. Public has power. Public must show its power. Student has power. Student power must be shown. And you have each and every ways to participate in this revolution. Please make use of it. That is my message. Thank you. Thank you very much for your energetic message. And you clearly mentioned that people are to be part of this revolution, and I hope public feel refreshed with your message to continuously engage in this revolution. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to invite Siama Iimo. There is a particular question for you. I'm going to read this out. The ex-prisoner usually stop engaging in the political struggle. Why? Due to is it because of their mental trauma, and they kind of dissociate themselves from the social um, life? Why? Thank you. Well, they have a particular way to engage with the political struggle. I do not say that they stop engaging in the political struggle, because the ex-political prisoner left all their personal information behind in the prison. And for this reason, they can be located at any given moment. And when I was out of the prison, I did not even realize why the profile log is available in the Facebook. I did not understand why the profile log feature was. So I'm trying to say that I had to pick up things when I was out of the prison again. So it is a bit of time that we have to get orientation back in outside of the prison life. My information was out there. I mean, 2 days after I released from the prison, that one of the pro-military proxy Facebook accounts make news about me that I should be I should be arrested again. So I got intimidated again. I got threatened again, and the the family that accepted me after the prison got so worried that I would get arrested because the pro-military proxy Facebook page talked about me and lobby me to the military regime that I should be arrested again. So what I'm trying to say is that it is very difficult to understand the life of a prison again and to protect ourselves again when we got out from the prison. And again, the the military regime had no ethic whatsoever, so they could do whatever they want. So we do not want to be in any. I mean, n- no one of us want to be in the hands of the enemy again. So this is to say that we have to know the very tactic to protect ourselves and yet at the same time to be part of the system transformation and in the system building. So we have to be strategized, we have to be tactic in the movement, in the political movement, because we do not want to fall ourselves in the hands of the enemy again, and we know that how much difficult to be in their hands. And another thing I would like to talk about is that our old friends would not necessarily want to deal with us anymore after we got released. The thing is that they do not want to be part of the problem if the military arrest us again. Well, and at the same time, we got criticized that we were not active anymore after the prison. So this is to say that people feel um, people treat us very differently, and at the same time, I feel, and we as the ex-political prisoner feel some sort of discrimination from the community as well, and we kind of blame to the society that the society seems quite ease and comfortable living under the military dictatorship, and whereas we are struggling for the political cause. So we feel that we have to educate the social we have to educate the community. We have to mobilize the community not to accept the military dictatorships and live happily under them. And rather than blaming them and rather than mobilizing them, we need to find a very good strategy to stay ourselves safe and to have a possible way to communicate and to educate to the society. So I think this is our situation at this moment. And in the prison, we heard a lot of women prisoners' social life. Some of the women prisoner um, um, were left by the husband due to the fact that she participated in the civil disobedience movement. So we have to we have to have a good balanced life, really, to be much more effective and efficient. And what I would like to tell to the public is that public must know that whatever you're doing, it's politics. You are posting in a social media, and you share things in the social media. Everything it's connected to the politics, and there are rule by law, there are no rule of law, and there are bad things happen in the country, and everything is all politics. So I think it's very important to educate the public, that the public needs to know that they cannot stay out of politics, and they have to have a political awareness, because whatever they do, it's politics. So I think it is collective job that all of us needs to do to make sure that the public is politically aware of what's happening. Thank you very much. And Imo, there is another question that is in English. I'm going to read this out for you in Burmese. So the question is about what security persecution can activists, etc., take to prevent military opening their phones and get all the contacts. So what would be your response to this? Thank you. Thank you very much for this question. Whenever we talked about the security precautions, there are two things I would say, the digital one and the physical one. So we may be part of the activity, and then the member of the activity got arrested. You heard that kind of situations a lot as well, and there are also situations that you cannot move or you cannot evacuate yourself from a particular situation and in time, so that's why you've got arrested. But anyway, when it comes to the digital security is paramount. I got arrested and my phone were with me, was with me. I did not anticipate that moment that I got arrested. I did not prepare myself at all. Everything was in my phone, and my phone got damaged when they arrested me. And they took that damaged one, and then they somehow repair it, and then they asked me for the password. So I was shocked. I knew that people behind me might be arrested. So basically, I I typed the wrong password for many, many, many times, and I was on record when I tried the password. So what they said is that, you know what, we know that you are typing the wrong password on your phone, and if you continue doing that, we will indict you with more charges. But I could not risk the life of the others, so I just have to sacrifice myself. So I am trying to say that the digital security is very, very important. Whenever you send information, whenever you go out, whenever you are on the activity, the ID, location, everything needs to be taken care of, and you need to prepare yourself. There is a guideline. There should be a guideline that you have to come up with and practice it and abide by it. Now, let me talk about the physical security. So, in the big city, the CCTVs are the most terrified device for us. So there are consequences of the CCTV so bad. So whenever you go out physically, you have to be very mindful about of your physical security. The car that you use, the pickup that you do, the drop off that you do, the whereabout that you do are all very important for your physical security. So you must prepare yourself regarding digital security as well as physical security. Thank you.
We are running close to the end of our sessions. I would like to give the last question to Winnie Winthorpe, and we'll wrap up the talk show. The question I have received is that here I have received a question. And the question goes, I think the first question is that what should the international community do more to prevent people from being arrested as political prisoners and to support the political prisoners? So the question here focuses on like what should international community do to prevent further political prisoners. The second question is that they use the expression "sikui," which is like the military dogs. That the military SAC does not seem to care about the international pressure. So what can be done? What can be done, and what should we do more? So this is the question we have received in the Q&A that would like to request Siama to respond to the question. So that I think there is also another point I will receive. It's a long test we have in the chat box as well, that it is important to keep us remembering that this is resistant against the dictatorship, and that it is important to think about their strategy as well, and that what will mean that the sacrifices made by the state leaders, as well as they are also will be using bribery also to distract and divert the people as well, and that it is important to be aware about the strategy of the capitalists, and that the dictatorship system, and then about the using the fear, and that is well that if they will be using it like plastic, they will like elastic, they will be doing as well, so that it is also as one of the less placed, they could have released the state councillor and to distract the people and forced to then go into a negotiation, and that would also hinder and in a way derail the revolution as well. So it is important to distinguish between that identity politics or that personality politics, and that is important. That can also, we need to address that issue as well, and that because it is important how should we give awareness raising to NUG and the people to see that the state councillor has admiration of the people, and the people sort of like focus so much on that we could be distracted by it as well, so that instead of trying to get vengeance for what we suffer, we are trying to change the system. So how do we make that aware to the people? So these are the questions that we have. Can you try to combine them all and answer this question? So the first question goes to what the international community do more regarding the political prisoners. The first thing you do is to speak out. It's important to speak out that there are political prisoners inside Myanmar, and that they are facing hardship and challenges. That is what it is important for the international community to speak about. That it is important to speak out on that as well. That and also we also have I think on the 30th of November, a lot of that should have also been executed. We are not seeing any response from the much of response to international community. We still have to keep pushing for them, for the international community to speak out as well, because it is important that it is rather than statement. We are what more than statements. We need action to back up the words. We need a credible, substantive action in it, that not just the statement as well. In addition, that military, that if you were to say that the military doesn't care about the international pressure, that's not true. They care. That is the pressure is not as strong for them. It's not for them to be leveraged, even though they are stuck. They are in a difficult position as well. That's something we can see as well. That for the military, the way they have been running amok, they have been running, they've been committing human violations because the international pressure is not putting the pressure they should as well. Doesn't matter how many they are killing. It doesn't matter how many people they have been arbitrarily detained and arrested. In the end, the international community will recognize them, will engage with them, and also what they would not really take action. They didn't really stop the culture of impunity. So the military have this mindset that they have impunity. They can enjoy impunity, whatever they do, and that is also do that as well. And that it is in a way, it's also like that. It's also the international community that generates them. They have this feelings of impunity. That for let's look at the UN platform. UN had the UN that human rights principles, that the UN mandates and procedures, that they have mandates, if they were to practice what they preach, if they were to really act, it is important to take action against the military. It is important to hold them accountable. It is important and also I think it is also important. There are movements ongoing to bring more attention from international community, international governments like the UK and US. It's not that they don't care about the international pressure. The pressure has not been as strong as it could have, and against them to be used as a strong leverage. Another point you had asked me to comment upon is that whenever we talk about political prisoners, often people, that if we talk about the release of Aung San Suu Kyi as the release of all the political prisoners as well. This has happened in the past. In the 2010, in the 2012, Aung San Suu Kyi will be released, and then my father and other, that high-profile political leaders will be released. But then again, international community think that, oh, Myanmar is changing now. The political prisoners have released, and that Myanmar is going to democracy. We need to support them. We need to support these changes, and that often they left the ethnic community behind. This has happened in the past. In the past decades, it is important the international community be aware that no, the release of top political leaders or political officials doesn't mean the release of all political prisoners to Myanmar, and that the ethnic issues remain as well, and that as an NUG, the release of the political prisoner will distract the NUG and the revolution. My short answer will be that if NUG is the people's government, then they would stand by their people. They have to stand by them. They need to listen to the will of the people. They need to listen to the desire of people. And that's the job of the public government. There must be transparency. There must also be accountability. So our revolution right now is that, we talk about the release of a certain political prisoner or the restoration of democracy. No, we have moved far beyond that. We don't want any kind of democracy. We want genuine democracy that is inclusive, that ensures equality, that ensures equal right. We are asking for an inclusive model of federal democracy. That's what we are calling also. Yes, if NUG is a people's government that represents the people, they will listen to the voice of the people. They will listen to the call of the people. That it doesn't matter how system change. They need to stand by the people. If they are a public government, that is most important. And that why you made about this, it's not, I think Imo also talk about this. We are trying to change the system. We're not talking about the vengeance, and that politics concerned with all of us, because it goes from the price of the basic commodities, so on the daily life, and that because of the bad system, because of the bad dictatorship political system, we will suffer in all forms of life, all walks of life. So why change the system? We want all of people to live in a peaceful, prosperous country. We want the country to have a full rights of human rights, as well as on the dignity and humanity. And that's why political prisoners is making the ultimate sacrifice. They are sacrificing their life and their livelihood to change the system. So my request, my encouragement to all the people is to stand by the people of political prisoners, to stand by the activists, to remain committed to this revolution. Thank you, Siama. Leslie. So we have one of the participants who have raised his hand. So I would like to invite this account. Yeah. Here the Zoom account is given the name as Myint. So please unmute yourself and ask your questions or share your comments. Thank you. You have the time now. We heard you. Yes. Go ahead. You need to first unmute yourself.
Hello, အတန်ကပိတ်ထားတယ်နော်
ကြားလားမသိ
Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you now, but you were muted before. We can hear you. Give your question. I want to say that political prisoners are making sacrifices, and they're not looking for vengeance. But my concern is that, and this is also something we are also seeing on the ground, is that the revolution is taking longer and longer. People are getting discouraged. If you're in the liberated areas, you can have an area, people are not feeling, we keep asking like, when will it end? When will this revolution end? When this is happening, SAC is using other strategies as well, and that this revolution, you cannot, revolution takes time, and that it is also important for people to remain strong and committed as well. I think we should continue this kind of talks to talk about as well. And it is also important that this political leadership, now the NUG, that NUG will also need to be more transparent, that to give more political leadership to create impetus for the people. I think that they should generate more like that as well. That for the ethnic community, that and also that to check. I think it is important that NUG need to give more. How can NUG give more transparent leadership? That's what is my concern about. So now that we are using the youth, which with the youth are the youth and we are using which is a important value to their society, the youth will continue the movement. I think it is so important that the adults should not feel discouraged, should not be confused if we need them to remain. We need the winning party in particular will need to remain strong and not go for the negotiation or dialogues and remain strongly committed in the dialogue. How can we do that kind of encouragement? What should they do? That's what I want to say.
Okay, so
who would be better suited to respond the question? I think Maimu will be best suited to answer this question. So Maimu, please. Thank you for that. And it was really good discussion, but I mean, all these points, mean that, well, it's also important that people buy into that. What the people are feeling right now is that that we know after that they will probably go for the as well, and that how do we do that? So we know people love her and people like her, but has that it is important that she support the people as well, and that she had never stood by the people 100%. So I mean that I think she was honest in her, not but that she was not doing that, but I think it is important that we need to see it very clearly, and that's what she had done or what she had not done. So I think it is I think people need to go beyond this the identity politics and going to following blindly a leader and drinking the Kool-Aid and thinking to doing something that what kind of information should be given as well. And that another question also is to NUG, how do they want to stand? That they should be clear about it. How do we encourage NUGs to stand strongly? Thank you for the question. I will try to answer your comments, but I will also ask my way to I think the question is very broad. When will this revolution be over? I know that it will not finish. I know that it's not going to finish anytime soon. I know very clearly about that. Okay. So you ask NUG to give guidance. In that context, what we need to think is that when will this end? Then we need to know like how badly you want it, because what is your goal? What are we going for? That is also important. That when we start the demonstration, when we start working on it, then we had different forms of different forms that was that we change that into and that we want that the system to change, and that like we have said before, we are saying that do you want to change the entire system to change? And then the system that we want to change is from the from that as well, and that we have lived through, we have survived through this semi-civilian government, those who took off their uniforms and start wearing civilian clothes and say they call themselves civilian government. That we have gone through that as well. There was civil war under the NLD, there was civil war under the Aung San Suu Kyi, there was oppression, there was human rights violations in ethnic areas, there was injustice, and the women are being the victims of this war. That there was even major issues of domestic violence. We're not able to address that even under the civilian government. So what we're seeing is the old ones that we have never treated them, we have given never care for. That is fostering. That is also causing. Every revolution takes a lot of sacrifice, and no revolution goes fully. This puts you out of the comfort zone, and that's how it goes. And this revolution as well, we are trying to eradicate the dictatorship system, all forms of dictatorship. We are doing this as well, and that it is important that it doesn't matter whoever they are. We're not talking about just military dictatorship, whoever they are, that we need to end this dictatorship, authoritarian regime as well. We need to change the system. As long as the system is changing, we keep revolting, we keep resisting. And so it doesn't, so when will this revolution end depend on how badly we want the objectives and how determined we are to commitment as well. That's how it will take. That's how it will take to make the change. So it is also important to make the ideological change as well, that the way we think. In this revolution, women have been victims and survivors of sexual assault, sexual harassment. They cannot speak up once they're released. They do not speak up because their society, they are in a community, they do not get assistance. There is no psychosocial support for them. They'll be stigmatized by the people. There is no physical safety. There is no psychological safety. Without safety and security, that people are struggling nearly to survive. When you have the survivors of sexual assault, it has happened before. It has happened in the past. When a woman is being, although there is also this horrible culture of victim blaming in Myanmar, and when a woman is whistled or when a wolf whistled or being colonized, what were you wearing or what were you doing? That's the society we grew up in. That when you're talking about your sexual assault, then your community, your society gonna look down on you. There'll be stigma, there'll be condescension, there'll be social ostracism. People are afraid to speak up because people are afraid even to talk to their society. And if you're not speaking up, then we cannot take action against the perpetrator. We need to hold the perpetrator accountable. For the process to happen, there is legal framework. You can have a national legal framework, your international legal framework. Doesn't matter whatever legal framework you're using. We need witnesses. We need evidence. We also need the victims, the survivors to speak up. For them to happen, it is important to change the mindset of the people. It is also important. We need an enabling environment, for just environment with the new ideology that believes if the environment doesn't change, then this will not be able to eradicate sexual harassment or sexual violence. So I don't want to say you're talking about the change that says that it's not just on the political system, it's ideology, it's a social ideology we need to change it. So like a patriarchy and that thinking women as a second gender, as a second class citizen, that goes along with the patriarchy, because patriarchy is a part and parcel of the dictatorship, and we need to overcome that. We need to change that. We need to eradicate the system. Only then we'll be able to eradicate the dictatorship as a whole. Thank you for your very convincing answer. And that I would like to summarize and that end tonight's talk show here, because we are also running out of time. And to all who has been following us, our talk show this week, our talk show is on the thematic of the arbitrarily those who have been given death sentences and oppressed political prisoners in the military tribunal. We have speakers. All those who have shared today, they are not telling you a bedtime story. They are not reading about it and sharing it, or that they are sharing about their own experience of that all the violations they face going against their humanity. They're also sharing about those released from the political prisoner, the challenges you face in your community, that both psychological and physical lack of safety and security. So that after all the sharings of our speakers, that actually what we get the key message is it is important to support the families, support the political prisoners, the families of the prisoners, that instead of pushing them pushing them out of the society, it is important that we be careful about the words that we use, how to treat them as well, because the political prisoners have been the ones who have been making sacrifice. It is important to recognize the sacrifice. It is important to be to practice humanity and recognize the sacrifice that they have made as well, so that as I have explained before we start with this talk show, as that so long as there are political prisoners in Myanmar, there wouldn't be genuine democracy, and that so long as that political prisoners cannot stand with their families, and that we will not reach the goal of our revolution, because that those who are making the sacrifice, those who are giving will continue giving, and that those who are not, if you're not understanding them, do not have a dignified community of the society. And that it doesn't mean that when a person is released, they are not free, because if they are still under leadership, they are in al fresco prison, so to speak. There may not be walls, they may not be insane, but they're still being threatened and oppression as well. It is important to resist. They're going to resist and fight, and I hope that we have a lot learned from the insights of our speakers. But last but not the least, it is all the organizations, individuals working for justice, equality, and democracy, all the political leaders and democratic institutions who are at all levels of the revolution need to work, need to have justice, accountability, and responsibility. Only then will achieve the goal of building a future peaceful nation. Thank you very much. Tonight's programs end here. Thank you very much for joining us. So it has been 2 years since the military coup, and the military has been oppressing us for more than 670 days. And we have over 13,000 people who have been arbitrarily released. Over 100 people have been given death punishment, and they are planning that over of this had already been executed. And more students have been given the sentences as well. That's the context in Myanmar, that's the situation in Myanmar. On the other hand, they tried to also release some political prisoners, but they haven't stopped with the area strike or the killing, burning of the houses and the villages. So all these are happening as atrocious crime, and that doesn't mean that we can remain in comfort. This is not, Myanmar is not a comfort zone. It is a situation we need to recognize that as such. We need to remain committed to the revolution. It is important to speak up, show up and be part of the revolution. Thank you for joining us in today's talk show. We'd also like to thank our speakers for giving us the time and sharing incredible stories that talk of the past that they have gone through. So thank you to our two speakers, and also to our students leader who have to leave earlier for early engagement as well. So I'm sure that when we're listening to you, we can still hear the trauma, we can still hear the past suffering as well. So thank you very much for joining us. And thank you to our speakers. Thank you that it is also incredible that, when you have family members who have suffered through, maybe you have experience, maybe you are lucky, but it is a struggle for that family to survive, and that it is also incredible that the survival for the family members of the it is also important that how challenging that is in the society. Thank you to both our speakers, my regards, my respects, and also my empathy and compassion to all of you. And thank you also for giving us time and that as well. So today's talk show. So the 47th session of the People's School, I would like to end here. Thank you very much for joining us. See you next week. And wishing you a very good evening. Thank you.
So no linga na naya samyeba yongji de manapya we do ba deja de cha song pya ba de khu ro jwe ya me Maung ne lin tai pwe ma ja so da shi bu de ja re pe ka de sin ne ba me Maung tu ye so ari de la ji se Maung so na ling ga da nai ya some ye ba